Well, it is time to get some local history into your ears right now. And of course, we do that with only one person from historyoutThere.com. We have Harold Peacock, and he is joining us on the line this morning. Good morning, mate.
Yes, good morning, Damo. It's another beautiful day and a really nice story for you to tell you.
I know. I was looking at it and I was thinking, boy, oh boy, this is going to be a twisty-turny one because we're going back to 1875 and this remarkable alleged murder in Highfields.
Yeah, that's right. It went all the way to the Queensland Supreme Court. Look, it's in 1875. That's when Highfields farmer John Sondergeld died very suddenly. Now, rumours circulated that he was murdered. After all, he'd been assaulted in a dispute over his farm, and he died just 4 days later.
Wow.
Now, Sondergeld, he had been involved in disagreements before. A few years earlier, he and his friend and neighbour, Christian Schmind, sued and countersued each other over alleged threatening language and assault. And before that, Sondergeld advertised in the newspaper that he had been deserted by his servant, Miss Margaret Ryle, for the last time. That's because he would never accept her back into his service again, and gave notice that as soon as he got the chance, he would marry some respectable girl, a widow. Now, 12 months later, he actually married the wayward Miss Ryle. Now, Sondergeld's fatal attraction was with the formidable Mr. Archibald Berkeley, who was Highfield's biggest property developer. Now, Berkeley became famous for building the Welcome Home Hotel, the Perry's Hotel, Railway Hotel, and Range Review Hotel, all at Highfield and neighbouring Kabbalah. He was a staunch friend of the politician William Groome, who was the inaugural mayor of Toowoomba and the only transported convict ever elected to the federal parliament.
There you go.
Now, Berkeley wanted Sondergeld's farm. A deal for £215 was struck, a £100 deposit paid, and a promissory note given for the balance. But that note was never passed on by the real estate agent, and so Sondergeld refused to sign over the property. Now, Berkeley wasn't happy, and so went to the farm and turfed Sondergeld, his wife and children, and all the possessions out onto the road.
Wow.
That included the house contents, even food, beds and everything, as well as the horses and cattle out of the paddock. Now, what's more, Berkeley told his men to cut Sondergeld down and murder him, and that he would take the consequences. And Sondergeld, if he came inside the fence, he would blow his brains out. Now, of course, violence ensued. One of Berkeley's men actually hit Sondergeld with a club on the cheek, and Berkeley struck him with the club across the chest and back, and was about to strike Sondergeld for a third time, but was stopped by someone telling him not to commit murder. Now, 4 days later, Sondergeld suddenly died. The doctor said it was heart disease. The police said the death was accelerated by his injuries. Berkeley was charged with murder, but the Crown prosecutor said there wasn't enough evidence, and so dropped the case. There were dozens of witnesses, so I don't know what happened there. But Berkeley wouldn't let the case rest and took everyone back to court. You see, the late Sondergeld had appointed his friend and fellow Highfield farmer, Michael Pertil, as executor of his estate. Now, Berkeley still wanted Sondergeld's land, but the Irish-born Pertil resisted pressure to transfer his friend's property. Now, you should understand that Michael Pertil was a patriarch of a family that I told you about last week. It was in the 19th and early 20th centuries, they stood firm in the Highfields district. Like, for example, Michael's son, Stephen Pertil, was unanimously elected chairman of the Highfield Shire Council. Michael's nephew was Police Sergeant Patrick Pertil, in charge of police stations across the state. His nephew, another Michael Pertil, was seriously gored by a one-horned bull. His brother, Patrick Pertil, was gored and killed by a two-horned bull. A son, Sinan Pertil, was killed in action during the First World War. A grandson, John Pertil, was executed by the Japanese in the Second World War. A granddaughter, Stephanie Pertil, was awarded an MBE after her service in the Second World War. And so, Damon, it should be no surprise that Pertil resisted Berkeley's insistence to go through with the deal. And that's why Berkeley took the case to the Supreme Court even after being acquitted of murder. Now, the judge found that the final payment of the money had never been paid, and so ruled substantially in favour of the estate's executor, Uncle Patil. Now, Patil died 4 years later at just 45 years of age. Berkeley, on the other hand, lived to be one of the oldest residents of the Darling Downs, passing away at the ripe old age of 93 years. And I don't think that he ever did get the Sundergilt land after what must have been, Damo, the most strangest alleged murders and legal cases ever.
Wow. Well, mate, that is a good story. And imagine that Pertell family didn't have some bad luck.
Oh, a lot of bad luck, but tell you what, the father, he stood up for his mates against the property developer when it really counted, didn't he?
Yes, I mean, I tell you what, neighbourhood feuds, you can't live with them, can you?
Yeah, even back in the 19th century, back in the 1870s.
That's it, yeah, exactly.
A rough time.
Mate, we can read this story when you pop it up on the website?
Absolutely. I'll put it on my website, historyoutofthere.com. That'll be on Friday.
Fantastic, mate. Appreciate it. A great story again. And we do have a listener question from Janelle in Warwick, who I'm going to flick to you today. So maybe we can find out a bit about her historical question.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to looking into that for Janelle out at Warwick. That should be interesting.
Fantastic, mate. You have a great week, and we'll look forward to catching up next week.
Talk then.
There we go, Harold Peacock, and you can check out that story and many others on historyouthere.com. We'll take a break, back with more in a moment.